हेलो फ्रेंड्स, मेरा नाम है आनंद शर्मा और आज हम क्लास 11 इकोनॉमिक्स चैप्टर 1, चैप्टर 2 और चैप्टर 3 साथ में डिस्कस करने वाले हैं। ये आईएससी क्लास 11 इकोनॉमिक्स का लेक्चर है। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट द लेक्चर। इकोनॉमिक्स किस किस बारे में है? Economics is the study of how people, business and governments make choices. Okay, when resources are limited. These resources can be money, time, labor or machinery. Because we cannot have everything we want, we must make choices. Okay, since we cannot have everything that we want, because resources are limited, we have to make choices. Economics helps us understand how these choices are made. It studies how goods and services are produced. These resources can be money, time, land, labor, or machinery. Because we cannot have everything we want, we must make choices. Economics help us understand how these choices are made. It studies how goods and services are produced, how they are distributed among people, and how they are used. Simply, economics is about managing scarcity and making decisions that bring the most satisfaction or benefit. The biggest issue in economics is that different economies have defined it in different ways. There is no single definition accepted by all. Some economies think economics is about wealth, others say it's about welfare, some say it is about scarcity or growth. Each definition focuses on a different aspect of economic life. That's why understanding the definitions become important for students. Wealth definition. This is the earliest definition of economics given by Adam Smith, who is also known as the father of economics. Features of Adam Smith definition. Adam Smith defined economics as the science of wealth. According to him, economics studies how a nation can become rich. His book, An Inquiry into the Nation and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, was the first major work in economics. Smith's definition gave economics a proper study wealth. It encouraged trade and industry to grow. It helped in the development of capitalism and the free market economy. But there were certain criticisms of his wealth theory. It is too narrow. Okay, it ignores the welfare and well-being of the people. It is materialistic as it gives importance only to wealth and not to human values. It treats people as tools to create wealth, not as human beings. Welfare definition. The definition was given by Alfred Marshall, another famous economist. He said that economics is not just about wealth but also about the welfare of human beings. Features of welfare definition. According to Marshall, economics is a study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. It focuses on how people earn their income, how they use it to improve their lives. It studies both wealth and human well-being. Merits. It made economics more human-centered. It included moral and social values. It showed that the purpose of wealth is to improve life, not just to increase money. Criticism. It is vague. Welfare is a subjective term and means different things to different people. It avoids the study of non-material things like services. It does not consider economic problems like inflation, unemployment, etc. Comparison. Wealth versus welfare. The wealth definition focuses only on earning and accumulating wealth, while the welfare definition focuses on the well being of people. Wealth is treated as an end in the wealth definition, but as a means to welfare in Marshall's definition. The wealth definition is older and narrower. Welfare definition is broader and more human focused. Scarcity definition. The definition of scarcity was given by Lionel Robbins in 1932. He said that economics is the science of scarcity and choice. Features of scarcity definition. Human wants are unlimited, but resources are limited. Because of scarcity, we must make choices. We cannot satisfy all our wants. Economics is therefore about choosing the best possible use of limited resources. Merits of this definition. It is universal and applies to both individuals and countries. It is scientific because it focuses on real life problems of choice. It covers all economic activities. It covers all economic activities, not just those related to wealth or welfare. It is too theoretical, that is the criticism. It is too theoretical and ignores practical aspects like welfare. It is too focused on problems and ignores solutions like economic growth. It does not explain how people behave when their income increases or when there is an improvement in technology. Comparison. Scarcity versus welfare definition. A scarcity definition focuses on the problem of choice, while the welfare definition focuses on well-being. Robbins ignored welfare, but Marshall gave importance to welfare. Scarcity is more modern and analytical, welfare is older and more social. Growth oriented definitions. This is a modern definition given by Paul Samuelson. According to him, economics studies how people use resources to produce goods and services over time to meet the needs of present and future generations. Main features. It includes both present and future production. It focuses on both growth and development. It includes economic problems like inflation, unemployment, etc. Merits of growth oriented definition. It is forward looking, it covers all aspects scarcity, choice, welfare, and development. It is more practical and useful for policymakers and governments. Micro and macroeconomics. Economics is divided into two major branches, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics deals with small individual units of the economy. It studies how individual consumers, firms, or industries make economic decisions. For example, how a shopkeeper sets the price of a product, how a household decides her spending. Macroeconomics deals with the economy as a whole. It studies large scale economic problems like inflation, rise in prices, unemployment, national income, economic growth. It's like looking at the entire economy from above. Example, if you study how Reliance sets the price of petroleum or petrol, it is microeconomics. If you study how India's economy grows each year, it is macroeconomics. Human wants. Economics is based on the idea that human wants are unlimited, but resources are limited. Because of this, we must choose what to satisfy, what to leave. Human wants can be classified into the following. Necessaries. These are the basic things we must have to live. Example, food, clothes, shelter, water, medicines. Comforts. These make our life easier, more enjoyable, but are not absolutely necessary. Example, fan, scooter, washing machine. Luxuries. These are expensive items that are not necessary for normal life. They are used to show only your status. For example, wearing designer clothes, gold jewelry, air conditioners. Characteristics of human wants. Human wants are unlimited, they change or vary from person to person, they are competitive, means we have to choose among them. Some wants becomes habits, like using a smartphone. Factors of production. To produce any goods or services, we need some basic inputs. These are called factors of production, and there are four main types. Land. This includes all natural resources like soil, water, air, forest, minerals. Land is fixed in supply and has no cost of production. Labor. This refers to human effort, physical or mental, used in production. Example, a teacher teaching in a school, a worker in a factory. Capital. Capital means man-made tools, machines and money used for production. It includes buildings, machines, tools. Capital is not natural, it has to be produced. Entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the person who brings all other factors together and takes risks. He plans, organizes and leads the business. Example, Ratan Tata, Mukesh Ambani. Utility. Utility means the power of a good or service to satisfy a want. It does not mean usefulness in the general sense. For example, cigarette gives utility to a smoker, that is, it satisfies his desire, but it is not useful in terms of health. Utility is subjective. It depends on the person. It depends on the person. What gives utility to one person may not give utility to another person. Example, a book gives utility to a student but not to a person who cannot read the book. Diminishing marginal utility. This is a very important law in economics. The law of diminishing marginal utility says, as we consume more and more units of any commodity of the same good, the extra satisfaction, the utility we get from each additional unit of that good keeps falling. Example, first slice of pizza is very satisfying. Second slice is a little bit satisfying. Third slice is just okay. Fourth slice may be too much for us. Fifth slice, you may be full or even sick. So the marginal utility, that is the additional satisfaction from each new slice falls, and this is true for most of the goods that we consume. Price. Price is the amount of money you have to pay to buy a good or service. It is decided by the interaction of demand and supply in the market. So price is determined by the interaction of demand and supply in the market. If demand is high and supply is low, price increases. If supply is high and demand is low, price decreases. Example, during Diwali the price of sweets may rise because demand increases. After festival the price drops. Value. Value in economics means the importance or worth of a good or service expressed in terms of money. It has two aspects. Value in use, the usefulness of a commodity. A value in use is the usefulness of a commodity. Example, water. Water is very useful for life. Value in exchange. Value in exchange, the price at which something can be exchanged in the market. Example, diamonds have high exchange value, but they are of little use. Okay, they have high exchange value, but they are of little use in daily life. Paradox of value. Water is essential, but it is very cheap. And diamonds are not at all essential, but they are very, very expensive. So this is called paradox of value. What is essential is cheap, and what is not essential is expensive. This is called paradox of value. This puzzle is called the paradox of value. Wealth. Wealth refers to all those goods that have value and can satisfy human wants. Example, money, buildings, machines, land, vehicles are all wealth. If they are scarce, have utility, and can be transferred from one person to another. Wealth must be useful, scarce, and exchangeable. Air is not wealth because it is free and abundant. But bottled oxygen used in hospital is wealth because it is scarce and also sold. Welfare. In economics, welfare means human well being, the level of happiness and comfort people enjoy. Welfare increases when people have access to good food, clothing, healthcare, education. Alfred Marshall linked economics with human welfare, making it more people focused rather than about wealth focused. Welfare is not just about income, it includes health, safety, dignity, and happiness. Money. Money is anything that is generally accepted as a medium of exchange. It helps in buying goods and services, storing value, measuring worth. Earlier, people used to barter goods for goods, but that had many problems. Modern money, that is coins, notes, and digital currency, solve these problems created by barter by making transactions simple and smooth. Functions of money: medium of exchange, store of value, unit of account, measures value, standard for deferred payment. It can be used as a credit. Market. A market in economics is not just a physical place, but any arrangement where buyers and sellers come into contact, physically or virtually, to exchange goods and services. Example, local vegetable market, online platforms like Amazon or Flipkart. Types of market: product market, dealing in goods and services; labor market, market where labor or workers are cheaply available; capital market, money, shares, bonds, and investments. Capital. Capital is one of the four factors of production. It refers to all man-made goods used in production, such as machinery, tools, buildings, vehicles. It is produced and used to produce other goods. Capital is produced and used to produce other goods. Capital is different from money. Money is just a means of exchange. Types: physical capital, machinery; financial capital, money invested; human capital, skills and education. Investment. Investment means using money to create more wealth in the future. In economics, it usually refers to spending money on capital goods. Okay, it refers to spending money on capital goods like machines or factories instead of consumption goods like clothes or food. Investment increases the production and helps economic growth. For example, a factory buying new machinery is actually making an investment. Savings. Savings is the part of income not spent on consumption. If you earn rupees 100 and then spend rupees 80, the remaining rupees 20 is your savings. People save for future needs, emergencies, or to invest. Meanings of savings: it is income minus consumption. Individual and aggregate savings. Individual savings means savings by one person or family. Aggregate savings means total savings of all individuals and business in the economy. Savings are important because they provide funds for investment. Income. Income is the money a person receives for doing work or from owning property. It can be in the form of wages, rent, interest, or profits. Factor incomes. Factor income is the income earned by providing a factor of production. If you provide a factor of production to any producer firm, then what you earn is the factor income. For labor, the factor income is the wages received. In case of land, rent is the factor income. In case of capital, interest is the factor income. In case of entrepreneur, Profit made by him is the factor income. Production. Production means creating goods and services to satisfy human wants. It involves converting raw materials into useful products using factors like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. For example, making bread from wheat or converting iron into cars. Production adds value to the goods and helps in economic growth. Consumption. Consumption means using goods and services to satisfy wants. Eating food, using a fan, watching a movie, these are all examples of consumption. Without consumption, production has no purpose. Consumption reduces utility over time. Business cycles. Business cycles refer to the ups and downs, the high position and low position in any economic activity of a country over time. Business cycles has four main phases. Number one, boom or the expansion phase. In this phase, the economy is growing rapidly. There are increase in number of jobs. Employment is on a rise. Income of people increases. Standard of living also increases. Peak. Second stage is peak. In this case, the growth of the industry reaches at its highest point. The third point is recession. The third phase in business is recession, where the economy slows down, the business does not perform well, there is low profitability and a rise in unemployment and decrease in demand of goods. Depression or trough. Economy is at the lowest point in this phase. Every business seems to be performing badly. There are chances of low profitability or losses. Most of the businesses are closed down in such a phase. Then the cycle repeats itself. Functions of money. Money is anything that is generally accepted as a medium of exchange. It replaced the barter system and made trade easier, smoother, more efficient. Money performs vital functions in an economy. Main functions of money. Medium of exchange. This is the most basic and important function. In the past, people used the barter system where they exchange goods for goods, like wheat for rice. But it had many problems, like double coincidence of wants. Both people must be wanting what the other has. The problem is called double coincidence of wants. No common value. Money overcome this problem. Now you can sell your product or service for money and use that money to buy anything else. Example, a farmer sells milk for rupees 100. With that rupees 100, he can buy anything, rice, vegetables or clothes. No need to exchange directly. Second function of money is measure of value. Money provides a common unit to measure the value of all goods and services. Without money, we would not know how much something is worth or what is the value of something. Example, a pen costs rupees 20, a book costs rupees 200, a shirt costs rupees 1000. These numbers are easy to understand and we can make a comparison between different goods because of money. This helps people in comparing prices, keeping the records of the amount purchased and sold, setting wages, rents, and profits. Store of value. Third function of money, store of value. Money can be saved and stored. You can save money and store for future use. It does not lose its value quickly unless there is an inflation. This allows people to keep their income and use it when needed. Example, if you earn rupees 1000 today but do not need to spend all of it, you can save rupees 500 and use it next month. Money doesn't rot or becomes decayed like fruits or grains. So this makes it perfect for storing your wealth. Standard of deferred payments. Fourth function of money. Money is also used to make payments in the future. In modern economics, many transactions are made on credit. like loans, EMIs, salaries. Example, you take a loan today and agree to repay 1000 every month for a year. Without money, this would be impossible to manage. It helps in business contracts, loans and borrowings, salary agreements, and so on. Fifth function, transfer of value. Money allows easy transfer of value from one person to another or from one place to another. You can send rupees 500 from Delhi to Mumbai through digital payment. No need to carry goods or gold with you. Types of markets. In economics, a market is not just a place like a vegetable shop or a shopping mall. A market is any arrangement where buyers and sellers come in contact to exchange goods and services, whether physically or virtually, that is online. Let's explore the different types of markets. On the basis of area, local market, which is limited to a small area like a town or village. Sellers and buyers are close to each other. Sabji mandi, vegetable market, village fair, national market, covers the entire country. Goods are transported from one state to another. Online furniture delivery from Delhi to Mumbai. International market, goods and services are brought and sold across countries. India exports tea to the UK. We import iPhones from China. On the basis of goods and services, we have goods market, that is product market, dealing with physical goods such as clothes, mobiles, books. Secondly, we have service market, dealing with services of doctors, teachers, Uber drivers, etc. Example, booking a haircut, tuition classes, food delivery. On the basis of competition, the types of market are perfect competition, where you have many numbers of buyers and many numbers of sellers coming together. Prices are decided by the forces of demand and supply. Example, agricultural markets like wheat or rice. Second type of market is monopoly market. There is only one seller and there is no competition with other sellers. Example, Indian Railways. In this case, there can be a huge price discrimination and exploitation of the customers. Monopolistic competition. There are many sellers, selling similar type of goods but slightly different products. Example, toothpaste, Colgate, Pepsodent, Close Up. Oligopoly market. There are few big sellers dominating the market. Example, mobile networks, Jio, Airtel, VI. On the basis of transaction method, you have physical market. People meet face to face to buy and sell. Shopping mall or bazaar. Virtual or online market. Here the deal happens through the internet or use of mobile apps. Amazon, Flipkart, Zomato, Miso. On the basis of legal structure, you have formal market, which is regulated by government laws and tax rules. Banks, supermarkets, online stores with GST. Informal markets, not fully under government control, may not follow tax rules. Street vendors, weekly local markets. Capital. Capital is man-made wealth used to produce other goods. So capital is not natural. Capital is man-made wealth used to produce other goods. It is not the same as money. It includes machines, tools, buildings, etc. Example, a bakery using an oven, that is his capital, to make a product, that is his bread. Types of capital. Fixed capital. It can be used over again and again. Example, buildings, tools, machines. Working capital, which is used up very quickly, like raw materials, cash in hand. Human capital, that is the skills and knowledge applied by laborers or workers. Capital increases the productivity and helps in the economic development of a country. Investment. Investment means spending money to create more income or wealth in the future. It is not spending for fun or for consumption. It is spending to increase the production capacity. Example, when you buy a machine, you are making an investment because you increase the production capacity with the help of that machine. Buying a cold drink is a case of consumption. Investment is important for the economic growth of your country, employment generation in your country, improving the infrastructure like roads, railways, highways, dams, bridges, etc. Savings. Savings is the part of income not spent for consumption. It is the income which is kept aside for future use. If your monthly income is rupees 10,000, you spend rupees 8,000, your saving is rupees 2,000. Why do people save? They save for emergencies, retirement, education of their children. Meaning of savings. Savings equal to income minus consumption. Individual and aggregate saving. Individual savings. Savings done by one person or family. Aggregate savings. Total savings of all people, firms and government in the economy. More savings means more funds for banks, and they are ready to lend their money for investment. If you save more, more money reaches banks, and banks are in a position to lend to different parties, profitable parties. Income. Income is the money received for providing goods, services, or using your assets. It is used for spending, saving, or investment. Types of income: wages, salary for labor, rent for land, interest for capital, profit for entrepreneurship. Factor incomes. These are earnings from factors of production like land, rent, labor, wages is the factor income, capital, interest, entrepreneur, profit. Production. Production is the process of creating goods or services to satisfy human wants. It includes making, growing, processing, assembling things. Types of production: natural products like farming, fishing; secondary, manufacturing like making cars, clothes; tertiary, services like teaching, banking, transport. Production increases wealth of the country and also improves the living standards of the people. Consumption means using goods and services to satisfy your wants. It reduces the utility of the goods. Example: eating food, using a mobile phone, traveling in a bus. Without consumption, production is useless. It creates demand and drives economic activity. Business cycle. Business cycles are the repeating ups and downs in economic activity. Means sometimes the economic activity is at its peak, and sometimes it reaches at the bottom. The first phase in your economic business cycle is boom or expansion phase, where income is rising, employment is rising, and also the production is rising. Second phase is the peak phase, where there is maximum growth, okay, before the slowdown begins. Recession is the third phase. In this case, the economy slows down, the business shuts down, there is loss of job, loss of employment, jobs fall, etc. Fourth cycle is your trough or depression. This is the business phase that is at the lowest point, okay, where you lose everything, your investment, employment, okay, and you make losses, business are shut down. Recovery. In this phase, the economy slowly starts to improve again, and this way the cycle repeats itself. So this way the business cycle goes on. Governments try to manage these cycles using different policies. Aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Aggregate demand is equal to total demand for all goods and services in an economy, that includes spending by consumers, firms, and government. Aggregate supply equal to total goods or services produced in the economy. If aggregate demand is greater than aggregate supply, this will lead to demand pull inflation. If aggregate supply is greater than aggregate demand, that means there is excess of supply, which leads to unemployment. Balance between aggregate demand and aggregate supply is always necessary for a stable economy. Basic problems of Scarcity and choice. Basic problems of economy. The main economic problem is that human wants are unlimited, resources are limited. This creates the need to make choices. Every economy must decide what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce using its limited resources. Definition of economic problem. Economic problem means the challenge of using limited resources to satisfy as many wants as possible. Three conditions cause this. You have unlimited wants, limited resources, resources have alternative uses. You have unlimited wants, limited resources, and resources have alternative uses. Example: land can be used to grow food or building houses. Which is better? That is the economic problem because you have a single land. What to do? Whether to grow food or to build houses. That is the economic problem here. Causes of economic problem. Unlimited human wants. Okay, our unlimited wants is always causing a problem. Scarcity of resources. All available resources like land, water, money are limited. Alternative uses. A single resource that you have can be used in many different ways. Because of this, we have to make wise economic choices. Central problems of an economy. Every economy, rich or poor, faces three central questions because there is a scarcity of goods. Questions are: what to produce? Should we produce food or weapons, books or mobile phones? Every choice has an opportunity cost. How to produce? Should we use machines that is labor intensive or human labor that is labor intensive? So should we use machines that is capital intensive or human labor that is labor intensive? Poor countries prefer labor intensive to create more and more jobs. For whom to produce? Another problem. Should goods be for the rich people or for poor people? Should be for urban people or for rural people? This depends on the distribution of income. Economic problems discussed through production possibility curve, PPC. The production possibility curve, PPC, is actually a graphical tool that helps us understand. Okay, it is a graphical tool, helps us understand economic problems like scarcity, choice, and opportunity cost. It shows the maximum combinations of two goods that an economy can produce. Okay, it shows the combination of two goods that an economy can produce with limited resources and available technology. Characteristics of production possibility curve. The curve always slopes downward because to produce more of one good, you have to reduce the production of another good because you have limited resources. That is why the curve always slopes downward. Second property of this curve, it is concave to the origin. The shape shows the law of increasing opportunity cost. As you produce more of one good, the opportunity cost of producing it increases. Number 3 represents full and efficient use of resources. Every point made on the PPC curve means that the resources are used fully and efficiently. Operation of the economy and production possibility curve. There are three types of situations on or near the PPC. On the curve, points A, B, C. If the point ABC lies exactly on the curve, resources are used fully and efficiently. That means the economy is at its best position. If any point is inside the curve, like point D, some resources are unemployed, or there is inefficient use of resources. That means there is a waste. If any point is outside the PPC curve, suppose point E, it means that it is not possible to achieve this point with the available resources. Okay, it can only be reached when there is improvement in technology or you have more resources with you. Example, a country can either produce 100 units of food or 50 units of clothing, PPC helps decide the best combination, say 70 units of food and 30 units of clothing. Role of change in resources or technology in shift and rotation in the PPC. Outward shift. If new technology is invented or more resources are available, then the PPC curve will shift outward or will shift to its right. Then economy can produce more with the given goods. Inward shift, or when the PPC curve shifts to its left. This could be due to disasters like war, pandemic, loss of resources. PPC curve in such a case will shift inward or shift to its left. In this case, an economy can produce lesser number of goods. Rotation. If a change happens in any one sector, the PPC may rotate. More of one good can be produced without affecting the other goods. Example, discovery of oil. More fuel production is possible, then PPC shift outward or PPC will shift to its right for energy related goods. Production possibility curve and central problems. Basic problem on a PPC. PPC clearly explains the central problems, that is what to produce. Choice of point on the curve, that is food versus clothing. How to produce. Efficiency and use of resources. For whom to produce. Based on the needs and social welfare. Though PPC doesn't show income distribution. Maximizing production. Maximizing production means using all the available resources like land, labor, capital fully and efficiently, producing as many goods and services as possible. It is like getting the best possible output from all that you have. This can be done by improving the technology used for production, educating the workers, improving their skills and abilities, reducing waste, producing on the PPC, not inside the PPC. More production means lead to more income, better jobs and better living standards. Opportunity cost or transfer cost. Opportunity cost means the value of the next best alternative organ when you make a choice. Opportunity cost means the value of the next best alternative organ when you make a choice. Example, if you spend rupees 100 on a movie, the opportunity cost may not buying a book with that money. So if you are spending rupees 100 on a movie, the opportunity cost will be the cost that is not buying the book with that money. In production, if you use land to grow wheat, the opportunity cost is the rice you could have grown. That means if you grow wheat, then the opportunity cost of growing wheat is the rice that you did not grow in the field. Importance helps in better decision making. It teaches us that every choice has a cost. It encourages efficient use of resources. Limitations. It is hard to calculate in real life. Value of alternatives can be subjective, doesn't account for emotions or non-economic factors. What is economic development? Economic development is the process by which the standard of living of people improves over time. It is not just about more money, but also better health, better education, freedom and equality. Characteristics of economic development, that is rise in per capita income, decrease in poverty, better education facilities and healthcare facilities, social progress and human dignity. It is a broader concept than economic growth, which only means increase in income or output. Most suitable definition of economics is the growth oriented definition by Paul Samuelson because it combines all earlier ideas: wealth, welfare, scarcity and growth. It is modern, practical, considering future generations too. According to Samuelson, economics is the study of how people and society choose to use scarce resources over time to produce goods and services and distribute them now and in the future. Economic growth. Economic growth is the increase in the output of goods and services over time. It means more production, more income, leading to more employment. It is measured by increase in GDP, gross domestic product. It is measured by rise in per capita income. But economic growth does not guarantee happiness or equality. A country can grow economically but may have poor people if the wealth is not shared properly. Differences between economic development and economic growth. Economic growth and economic development. Economic growth, there is only increase in income, output, includes improvement in non-living standards. It is a narrow concept. Economic development is a broader concept. Economic growth can exist without welfare. For economic development, welfare is essential. Economic growth is measured by GDP. Economic welfare, economic development is measured by Human Development Index, level of literacy and level of health. Economic growth may not reduce poverty, but economic development always aims to reduce poverty and inequality. Example, a country with tall buildings shows growth of a country, but people starving in slum areas fighting for hunger is not economically developed. Growth efforts in backward country. Backward developing countries make special efforts to achieve development, building schools and hospitals, creating jobs for youth, attracting foreign investment, improving farm and industry, implementing 5-year development plans. The focus is not just on producing more, but also on giving a better life to all people. Stages of economic growth. W. Roster gave 5 stages of economic growth. Traditional society, primitive farming, no technology, preconditions for takeoff, infrastructure, roads, education starts developing, takeoff. This is the phase where there is rapid growth in industries. Drive to maturity, all the sectors, primary, secondary and tertiary develop, stable progress is seen in the country. Age of high mass consumption, people enjoy luxurious, high income and better life. India is between stage 3 and 4. Industrial growth and economic reforms are going. So this is the end of the chapter. We have covered chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 collectively. Thank you for watching the video. Bye bye. Take care. Have a good day.